Hi, I'm your host Swapnil Bhartia, and welcome to our series on tech predictions for 2021. Our next oracle is Mark Brewer, CEO of Lightbend. Mark, first of all, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Swapnil. I'm really happy to be here.
Before I ask you to pick up your crystal ball and share your predictions, can you tell me a bit about the company itself?
Sure. Actually, before I jump to Lightbend, let's just have a brief comment about this past year we came through. 2020 was a really challenging year for most companies. But it's also turned out to be a year in which many of them were able to accelerate their move to transforming their business, to become digital first. And Lightbend has been behind many of those companies, helping them with the infrastructure and, more importantly, the application layer that they needed to build the applications so they could be digital first. Companies like Starbucks, Tesla, Capital One, and many others. So Lightbend is the company behind the Reactive Manifesto. It's an industry movement that called for systems to be responsive, resilient, elastic, and all based on a message-driven architecture. We're the leader focusing on these essential scale-out issues that help companies take full advantage of their cloud-native adventure.
Now it's time for you to grab your crystal ball and tell me, what prediction do you have for 2021?
So my first prediction for 2021 is that enterprises are going to look higher up in the stack on how they can take advantage or build cloud-native applications. We do these surveys every year, and we just completed one towards the end of last year, where more than 1,000 developers and IT practitioners shared their feedback on their cloud-native architecture plans, what they're doing to build cloud-native or go cloud-native, if you will. And it's no surprise, at the infrastructure layer, many of them, in fact, 75% of them, are already using things like Kubernetes and Docker, whether they're doing that in a public cloud, a private cloud, or some hybrid. Some, in fact, 60% of them have already adopted microservices as a way in which they build their applications that runs on that infrastructure. So that's a really good sign. But we believe it's going to accelerate to a much more rapid pace and a much broader audience. One of the things that was revealed in that survey was that a lot of the individual companies didn't know that they needed to embark on a new application layer. As Google developer advocate Kelsey Hightower puts it, there's a ton of effort attempting to modernize applications at the infrastructure layer. Well, as we just said, you need to go above that. And he says the same thing. He says, without equal investment in the application layer, you're only solving half the problem. Ultimately, business value is not extracted from infrastructure alone. It's the applications built on that infrastructure that actually delivers the business benefit. And the move to cloud native is no exception. My second prediction is that cloud native microservices will become the standard building blocks for remote teams. And there will also be a lot of innovation in this new cloud native application layer. COVID, if it's taught us one thing, is that teams are going to be remote. And that forcing to be remote means that you have to develop in a way that is cohesive with and works with the fact that your teams aren't all together, thereby being agile or therefore being agile. You simply can't develop in the traditional monolithic way. It just doesn't work when your teams are distributed or remote. It'll also become a hot recruiting item. I think that you're going to see developers who don't want to work for companies that aren't building cloud native applications. They want to enhance their careers and learn new technologies and ways of developing. They don't want to work on the old legacy way of monolithic development. And then finally, I think it's important to recognize that there's been a ton of innovation at that infrastructure layer. First, it was Kubernetes and Docker, and then complementary projects like Envoy and Istio and many others. But we're going to see the same thing happen at the application layer, with Akka, Lightbend's Akka, kind of being at the center of it and attracting a lot of other complementary projects that are required to help build these applications. And that's one of the reasons why we helped sponsor and start the Reactive Foundation. The Reactive Foundation is all about seeking to bring a peer application layer to what the CNCF is at the infrastructure layer. So CNCF deals with infrastructure, and we believe Reactive Foundation should solve the layer above that, the application layer. My last prediction is that I think interest and adoption of serverless is really going to accelerate in 2021. You think about it, 15 years ago, it was all about resource utilization, companies moving away from huge capital expenditures on servers, data centers, into models where it was pay as you go, pay for only what you use. That's what the market was demanding, and that's what shaped our cloud computing world that we know today. Now, it's all about speed, getting developers what they need faster, getting value from data faster, getting IT out of the way, shipping software faster, all while maintaining your reliability and predictability that you expect for these applications. There's going to be a big push towards serverless, I believe, in 2021, a world where the human involvement and oversight is reduced specifically at that infrastructure layer, enabling them to focus on what's important, and that's writing business logic, building the applications that need to be built. Think about it. Up until recently, there have been, serverless functions have been available now for 5-6 years, but they have significant limits in what you can do. You can build simple stateless functions, but that's not a business application, not a large-scale run-the-business real-time system that you need to be able to bring to market. This is where we're going to see, not only innovation but adoption. We believe serverless is going to be a polyglot evolution where you see developers on the front end choose whatever language they want to write their applications, write their business logic, call back-end services in that infrastructure, but not having to deal with it themselves. That's done as an abstraction. We at Lightbend have set out to help define the future of serverless by creating a unified experience for these kind of applications as you build them.
Mark, thanks for sharing those. Can you also talk about the focus of Lightbend in 2021?
Yeah, so it's really that last prediction I made. We're heavily investing in our serverless product. It's called Akka Serverless. You'll see us come to market. It's shipping as a beta at the end of January, but it's going to be GA at some point later in the year. Think of this as everything I just said about abstracting the complexities of your infrastructure and providing to the developer a polyglot tool chain where they can start writing applications quickly and handle all the things like reliability and distribution as an abstraction. And that's where our investment is for 2021.
Mark, thanks for sharing these predictions with us. I would love to have you back on the show at the end of the year just to see how many of your predictions turn out to be true. Number one. Number two is to get your predictions for the next year. So once again, thank you.
Happy to do so. And thanks again for having me.